And we are back with Rania Mankari, who's the CEO of Crime Stoppers Houston, and Carrie McCracken, the executive director of the Children's Assessment Center. All right, it's hard to get exact numbers, but based on survey rates, about 1 million Texas students say they're experiencing bullying in school or online. And you know, there's kind of two schools of thought on this, no pun intended, but people who say, look, that's the way kids work things out. Let them work it out. But today, bullying, it seems like, has gone to a whole nother level. I remember in school, there's this girl named Katie, wherever you are. And I don't know, I still to this day don't know why, but that was 100 years ago, but she was going to beat me up and everybody was we were waiting for it. And then we got in the showers after PE and that's where she decided she was going to do it. And she was like 6 feet taller than me, but she was a tall, big girl. And I kept thinking, what did I do? And so she gets in the shower, she comes up and she's getting ready to take me out and she slips on a bar of soap. By the time the story spread outside of the shower, outside of the gym, and across the school, Deborah took her down. So after that point, nobody messed with Deborah. Don't mess with Deborah, right? And I'm like, I didn't do anything, but okay, right?
Fate stepped in.
So we all kind of have some stories that we witnessed or it happened to us on that. But bullying, underreported, they say 64% of cases not reported, and a lot of that is because kids will feel embarrassed or shamed, or that's one of the horrible things about bullying.
They've become desensitized to bullying, unfortunately, today. That said, bullying has changed so much because of the digital world. It is relentless, it is consistent, and with the onset of technology, the ability to find someone that's changed a phone number, to find a profile that's been blocked or hidden, to create fake images of people or fake comments of people.
And you got to get the companies to cooperate with giving up who that person is. They can hide behind that wall, right?
It's nearly impossible. And we've seen stories, Texas City, a young girl took her own life in front of her father on Thanksgiving Day years ago because the bullying was so relentless. They changed the phone number, they changed the phone, they did everything they possibly could do. So here's where we really, really want to exercise the art of conversation with children and start young. We start as young as 5, talking about how to interact with others, how to report behavior that's inappropriate or uncomfortable, how to be a good citizen, how to stand up for others, because this takes an army to fight.
Yeah. All right, there's David's Law, which, Texas schools are required to maintain anonymous reporting systems. David Mollock, 16-year-old high school student, relentless cyberbullying on social media, died by suicide. And I think every parent's caught off guard with that kind of story because you're thinking your child would say something to you. And sometimes they don't, but even when they do, there are still issues. All right, question from Tammy. My child is going back to the same middle school this year, and we're hoping to break hoping the break was enough for her bullies to move on. We had several meetings with the principal last year, and the best we got was, we'll talk to her parents again. Nothing changed until school ended. Where can you go if the principal can't resolve the issue? And we know that we have rules in the books, but we've gotten so many parents who say, oh no, I show up all the time, nothing changes. And then others where the principal locks down and they get stuff taken care of.
Well, it's very important, first of all, you've got to become an investigator. You've got to record every conversation, you've got to keep notes on everything that you've done, keep a track record of the abuse. And if the principal is unable to act because the law is in his or her court, it's in their hands to do something, we recommend going to the district. You go up until the superintendent if you have to, with a reasonable request, mind you. You can't say, I want, a bully removed from school and I want, to flip the whole system. But if you're there trying to find a solution that protects your child and gets to the root of the problem, the law requires you to be heard and for your child to be protected. Bullying that intervenes with the school day or academics in any way must be addressed.
Even if it's off of school property, but
if it's cyberbullying that affects the school day or academics in any way, even if it happens at night, on the weekends, during summer, whatever it might be, the school must address it.
And Carrie, having been a prosecutor and a defense attorney, document.
Document, and again, continue to talk to your child. Rania already mentioned this, and I think we're going to mention it, every minute throughout the morning, is talking to your child, and make sure that your child continues to share with you, because your child may shut down. Like I told, nothing has happened. And so again, make sure they continue to have dialogue with you about what's happening, and yes, record those incidents so that when action, you've got proof.
Yeah, and be careful as a parent, because like that movie Hand That Rocks the Cradle, she shows up at the playground. Do not show up at the playground. Don't do that. But you know, I was behind a school bus one day. You know how they put up the stop sign, you stop, right? And I stopped, and the kids were getting off the bus, and I just kind of had a nostalgic moment. Went, oh, look at the kids getting off the bus. But these two girls got off the bus and they were swinging, and they were fighting, and it was shocking to see.
Yeah.
And then I looked, she wrapped her hair around her hand, threw her to the ground, and she was on the cement. I thought, she's getting ready to slam her face into that. I jumped out of the car and I pulled her off. I just started screaming. I was like, don't do that. You're getting ready to end her life and yours too. And we had this conversation, but then I thought about it later and thought, I jumped in the middle of a fight, and I reacted, but you got to be careful with that too.
You've got to be careful with that, but the fact that aggression escalates so quickly, and we don't know the history of these two girls, although I do remember you sharing the story.
Yeah.
The fact that kids have such a low barrier, it seems, to resort to such physical violence, and it can become so aggressive. And kids around, if they do have a cell phone, although now that the laws change, they'll just start recording. They won't jump in and help.
Yeah.
They will start recording, which is actually a terrifying reality.
Yeah. Instead of helping, instead of using that same phone to call 911 or something, right?
Record.
And I remember her just saying, "I'm tired. I can't do it anymore. I'm tired of them picking on me. I'm tired of them picking on me." And then I looked at the bus driver and said, "He goes, it's been happening every day."
It's awful.
I go, "So when it's happening every day, did you report it?" And the bus driver goes, "Well, it's on the bus. It's after school." No, it's on the bus. That is part of school, isn't it?
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
It is his or her duty to report that.
Yeah. All right. And again, like we said, you can report anonymously, and that's for parents. That's for the child who's being bullied. That's for even other teachers who see it, and it includes harassment and threats. Schools must notify the parents of the alleged victim within 3 days, and then also notify the alleged bully's parents.
And Deborah, can I just add something? This is such an important point, and I've started, when I talk to kids and parents, and I started this last year, I am encouraging everybody to take on this kindness challenge, because you look at school shooters and it's awful, but in some cases they have been pushed and pushed and pushed and nobody helped them. I'm not saying that
it's not an excuse.
No,
but we better look at the whys. We always look at what happened. We don't look at the why.
So we talk about mental health in our program, and we want kids to be nice. We want them to notice other kids, recognize when they're being isolated, and instead of isolating them, step in and empower them and help them. So I recommend this
Carrie,
kindness
as a defense attorney, that is a defense at times. I mean, it has been a defense in every case that we looked at.
Of course, yeah. Of course, and she's absolutely right. Pay attention, be nice, teach your kids early, the golden rule, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because a lot of those children reacted that way because they had been bullied themselves, and they felt so outcast and so disenfranchised, and that's how they retaliate.
And I want to make sure people understand, we're not saying that is an excuse and we excuse it.
But we need to
we're saying
study
we create it.
We need
that
to study
child
it
was created.
so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
And we can't just ignore it. We've got to understand, get to the root. We encourage every child, pick 10 kids this school year. The school year starts. You pick 10 kids. They don't have to be your friends. You don't have to, but just be nice to those 10 kids all year.
Yeah.
Be kind to those 10. And if all of you are picking 10 that you're kind to, that you're saying that girl with the backpack that nobody talks to at lunch, I'm going to be kind to her all year. We can change the culture of the
and it's
school.
the craziest thing. I was, it was a shock to me. I was a homecoming queen in my high school, and I couldn't understand why people voted for me, because I was not the pretty girl. I was not the cheerleader. I was in band and theater, for goodness sakes. Okay, but
there's nothing wrong with band and theater.
No, there's not. But I wasn't. I was like the studious girl. Okay, but I remember at our high school reunion, I asked one of my acquaintances, peers, I said, but why did you vote for me? I always kind of wondered.
The kindest.
And she said, we were washing our hands in the bathroom and you told me you liked my outfit. And in that moment, I remembered that moment. And I remember the reason why I said it is because the outfit was not good.
Yeah.
And I thought, I bet you people are looking at her and making fun of her. And then she was somebody that people oftentimes picked on. She was very shy. And so I was like, I remember that moment. But it taught me a lesson on what did it take for me to say just to her, I like your outfit. But what did it do for her in return?
Yes.
All right.